Viewer discretion advised. Refrain from watching if you're short-tempered or get offended or annoyed easily, or if you're under the age of 18. Also, don't watch if you're touchy on the following subjects, such as mental health, suicide, firearms, veterans, dark humor, swearing, violence, war, small parts of political and world events. The host, co-hosts, and guests are not professionals, so anything mental or physical health-related topics mentioned on Asylum Arms, take with a grain of salt and contact your doctor or therapist for advice or questions on those subjects.
Welcome to episode 49 of Asylum Arms. Today we have DivinityChained. DivinityChained. And we have our asshole guest Kay over here.
Wait, say that again. Because I'm looking at the name.
I mean asshole co-host Kay, not guest.
Did what?
DivinityChained.
No. I know how to say it.
Oh, did you talk about him?
Yeah.
DivinityChained, you piece of fucking shit.
Did you say you said
My balls.
Divinity?
Shut the fuck up and you shut up. What did you do in your time in the military?
So I started off as I was in the airborne. I was a paratrooper, 11 Bravo. Did a number of tours there, and then as I worked my way up, I eventually switched over. And my last tour, I was actually running our arms room, which was nice because I got tired of people shooting at me.
That's understandable.
Yeah. No. Thankfully, I only did one of those into actual combat. Everything else was just the normal training jumps.
Not a whole lot of cover up there.
Oh, what is paratrooper training like? What do they do and stuff for the training?
It's separated into 3 weeks. You have ground phase, tower phase,
right,
and then jump week. And so ground phase is, learning how to land. No shit. You learn how to fall.
Yeah.
You learn about the parachute, how to put it on, what the different parts are, all the little different techniques. If you're really lucky, they take you out in the middle of the night and do this terrifying thing at this big-ass jump tower where they will suspend mannequins. It's like 250 feet up, and they'll suspend these mannequins with messed up chutes. And they will release them so you can see what a parachute malfunction looks like. And then you get to walk around the field and pick up the parts. So it was definitely a way to let us know exactly what was going to happen to us if we messed up.
Is this teaching you to pick up your comrades' body parts?
Oh, that's
unless they liquefy.
True.
People don't come apart; they just break internally.
I don't know. Never had to worry about that, so.
Yeah, depends on the feel. I guess, well, even if a halo jump, I don't think you can liquefy, but
that was pretty fucking high, I guess.
Had his reserve deployed while we were.
I know you bounced, but I don't know.
In the air, and when you're lined up, so you're lined up in the back of the aircraft, and the door sits right behind the engines. Because obviously you don't want to be in front of the engine, because you're going to get sucked into it. But at a certain point, once the doors open, it creates suction. And his reserve deployed while he was in the aircraft.
That would make it way more interesting.
Before he had actually hooked up to, they've got these braided steel cables that you hook up to, because they're all suspension line jumps. They're not free fall or anything like that. But so they open the doors and you start going through the process of standing up and hooking up and all that. And we were crammed into this aircraft, and as we were standing up, the guy in front, he caught his reserve. The handle caught on the parachute of the guy in front of him, and so when that guy stood up, it was when they had we had the old ripcord style reserves. It ripped the cord out, and these reserve chutes are packed with a spring. So there's this like cloth covered spring that pushes the chute out. And his deployed, and we were forward enough that it immediately got sucked up by the suction, and he had to just run out the door because that's it. Like that happens, you're going. Yeah, no, you're going, or you're gonna have a really bad day. But yeah,
you're not stopping that
if
happening.
it starts snaking towards that door, you need to beat it out the aircraft. But when it deployed,
If you
his
try to
hands were still
stop it,
covering
basically
it.
you just bounce off of every
So
piece of metal that's in the aircraft until it drags
the force
you out.
of it deploying ripped all that 550 cord through his fingers, and so his hands were jacked up for a while.
Ooh. That's some nasty.
Yeah.
That's some nasty rope burn right
Not
there.
Yeah, he wasn't happy about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder why.
I think more lacerations than anything. No, yeah, you have to think about it. So, like, the plane is going fast. Is creating this vacuum inside the hull, inside the aircraft. So if you have a chute that deploys, the parachute's going to go where it's sucking the air out. So it's sucking that air out. Plus, you're moving at a couple hundred knots.
If that chute gets out before you do, it's going to keep
your
going.
Parachute, as soon as it goes out the door, it's going to try to slow the fuck down. And it's going to drag you right along with it. So you either go with it or literally bounce off of everything along the way.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to literally drag you.
So, did his hands ever fold or recover, or were there like left
literally
over
kicking and screaming?
He ended up getting. I'm trying to remember. This was years ago.
I don't have much of a choice.
I joined the army in 2003 and got out in 2011. So it's 2002 and 2011. Sorry. So this has been years ago. But yeah, he had. I think he ended up getting skin grafts, but eventually he recovered full use of his hands. He just couldn't deploy. Yeah. Yeah. He can still use his hands for the things he wanted to use them for. Hold a beer, hold his dick. Yeah.
He can still jerk off.
Hold a video game controller.
He can still jerk off.
Yeah.
all the essentials.
Damn. He probably would.
Funny enough, now he's got his skin grafts and stuff like that. Now it's like ribbed.
A fucked up sense of humor.
And you know what? If he was probably sitting here, he would think that's a funny joke. So there.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I've not met one personally, but I've seen I take that back. I have met one personally, but he was I had
the opportunity.
He was
to
like
bunch of them.
Vietnam era.
When I switched over to the 82nd,
and
initially I was
those
stationed
guys
over in Italy
shit.
with 173rd.
I did.
Yep, that's where we always did our jumps out of. When we did our training jumps. Yep.
I had a buddy of mine that was stationed in Italy. He was stationed over at because I was Air Force. He was stationed in Aviano, Aviano Air Base. Yep.
It was.
Yeah,
nice.
He was stationed over there for a while. I was in from 96 to 99.
Enough,
and
he
was stationed over in Aviano.
If it's an unaccompanied,
he said Italy is like one of the best
unaccompanied
places
rotation,
to
which
be
means
stationed.
you're by yourself.
He said
it's supposed to be for 2 years. I got stationed. Oh, okay. So it's supposed to be 2 years. If you've got a spouse, they extend it to 3 years.
Right.
Basically, you're stuck there longer.
Is that exclusive?
Paying to ship your family with you.
Like chat.
When I arrived, I got to Italy in December of 2002. No, sorry, December of 2003. Is that right? No, I'm sorry. I'm old as shit. It was December of 2002 because we. Yep, we were wearing BDUs. which was what 2 uniforms ago now, 3 uniforms ago.
You went in just like, oh man, you're so close to
they're
when I
the
got out.
DigiCam now.
We're still wearing EDUs
And
at the time.
Yeah, I was there for that because you guys went to Tiger Stripe and we had the what they call it, the ACUs, the Advanced Combat Uniform. That I don't.
Yeah, Air Force went to Tiger Stripe for a
BDUs
while.
and the DCUs, the Desert Camouflage.
Yeah, the ACUs. What the fuck's the other one?
Yep.
Somewhere.
DCUs. Yeah, DCUs. Yeah.
Yep. I remember.
I still got my BDUs in a fucking tote somewhere in the fucking house somewhere.
That was literally. It
Still
was
got the
literally
fucking
the only good thing about switching
sewed
over to
them,
ECUs.
just old as fuck. Still got the goddamn crease on the
they
sleeve.
got rid of
You had
the
to iron that
whole
shit.
ironing thing.
Now they don't have to iron their fucking uniforms.
Yeah. Although I don't know why they went to the ECUs. It's like, oh, this is supposed to be generic camouflage. I'm like, it's blue. Like, great. I can hide in the sky.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck you.
Except for the giant green parachute above me. But as soon
it's blue.
yeah, the only good thing about it being in the desert was that you wear it for a week and it's the same colored tan as the ground.
I think a lot of people there were a lot of people that were pissed off about
faded
that.
so quickly it blended into everything. Yep.
Because that shit fades.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember like wearing the BDUs and having the fucking blouse your boots and
with our because we had our jungle boots
polished, like
so we had just the toe and heel.
I don't know if you guys did, but they had to be like
jump boots
mirrors, like see the cracks of your teeth.
So being a paratrooper, we didn't wear the generic shoe that everybody got.
Yeah,
we had all other jump boots that we had to wear, and that entire thing better be polished.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, because you had like there was like the stiff leather uppers and everything like that. Yep. I had the Cochrane 2 field boots that had the cap and toe, or the heel and the cap on the toes. That I had shined to a mirror fucking polish. And what's funny was one of my NCOs, they looked at my boots and they're like, because back in the day you had that leather luster that you basically painted on and it made it really shiny. And she was like, why did you paint your boots? And I was like, I didn't paint my boots.
You're gonna be the one.
She was like, that's not polished. I was like, yes, it is. And she was like, come here. And I was like, I swear to God, you messed this up, and I'm gonna be mad. Like it takes me hours. Yeah, because it doesn't. It's not just a quick all done. No, it's fucking hours of this shit right here. Hours. So I mean, I had I used the cotton t-shirt, wrapped it around my 2 fingers, and I would dip my fingers in warm. Yeah, swab in the kiwi, the black kiwi polish, and dip my fingers in the water, and then just did this.
If you got a new pair of boots, you were fucked.
And that's it. And then once you got a good shine on it, didn't take as long, but getting that
weekend
filled up,
drinking beer, watching movies, and polishing boots, and that's all you're doing.
Yeah, new boots, scraping the fucking kiwi out, slathering it. Yeah.
Right.
So I walked over to her just to prove it, and she took her pocket knife out, and I was like, I'm thinking she's gonna scratch like the top or like the toe or something like that. Luckily, she scraped the side of it, like down to the sole,
1 day per boot,
and she just scraped the wax off. And then she was like, "How did you do that?" And I was like, "Saturday and Sunday." She was like, "What?" Like both of them was like, "No, Saturday, Sunday."
Thinking up all kinds of ways to try to shortcut it.
And then, like, by the time you're done, you crack your knuckles. It's like you've never bent your fingers before.
We had guys.
This shit right here. Yeah, I remember doing that. There's not. There's no way to do it. The only way.
Yep.
The only way that I found to even remotely shortcut it was I would gob the wax on it first. Like I would just dig it out, just gob it on, and then I would take my cigarette lighter and melt it, That was the only way
I
that
had a buddy of mine
I
tried
mean,
to toss it in the
it took
oven.
like maybe an hour, 2 off of the
Nope.
tops,
No, it
but
did
you're still
not.
sitting there for 4 or 5 hours per boot. That was the only way that I could
Trying to
figure out
put
the
his
shortcut.
boots in the oven.
We were sitting around drinking one night, and he's like, he was tired
didn't
of
work.
shining boots, and he decided he wanted to toss it. And he's like, "Oh, I heard we can do blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Somebody lied to you, man. Don't do it." He did it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the tray that he put the boots on top of was just a puddle of
Yeah, because that
wax.
shit doesn't.
It
It's
melted
not
all of
like
it off.
it takes
So
no
it was
heat to
basically-
fucking melt that
Yeah,
wax.
yeah.
Like no heat at all. Like,
That's
you can put it on
basically what
like
he ended up having to do.
100 degrees, and it's.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Can we get
That's
a
a good way
round
to
of
start
applause
over.
for your friend that decided to put boots wax in the oven?
But yeah, if you want to start over, do that. See, that wasn't even like the only
Yeah.
thing. Like you had like if it was dusty, like I was stationed. I never went overseas, so like I never got deployed. But I was stationed up at Ellsworth Air Force Base behind the B1s. So in the summertime, it's
Yep.
dusty as fuck. You got the B1s blowing all the shit. So if you had dusty
Yep.
boots or something like that, yeah, the heel and toe could just be wiped off. real
That
quick.
was the nice thing
But
about
like in
being
between the
able to
laces and
wear,
stuff, you still had to take
the
all your
jungle
fucking laces
boots,
out.
was that they didn't
With
have
the polish
that.
up in there.
So like
This
you
was
had
like
the
this was
toe
almost like a
and the
daily
cap,
thing.
or the
Just
heel
getting
and the
just getting
cap,
the shit
and
off
then
from
you
underneath
had
the
there
laces,
was like
the tongue of the boot.
a small strip of leather where the eyelets were. Everything else was mesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, we had the old.
Well,
We
you had
the
like the
actual,
traditional
like,
jungle
boots,
boot,
jungle
which is
boots.
the canvas. We had the canvas.
Yep.
Okay, and had the two little breather holes
Yeah.
on the inside. So for like if you got
Yep.
fucking Vietnam era jungle boots. Okay. I mean, I used to wear those when I was a kid because fucking.
Well, yeah, we got the issued
$10
boots, but
a
as soon as
pair
I
at
got
the
to my
Army
unit,
Navy
they're like,
store.
throw those away. Just throw them away.
No, I
This is
started
what
out
you
with
need to
the.
do. I had a good team leader.
What did they give me? I had
when I
issued
first got
boots,
there,
and
that
they
was
were
like
fucking
90%
terrible.
of this stuff you got issued is garbage. You're never going to use it. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Here's where you go to get stuff that is actually going to last.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
I
same
think
with
I
the
ended
jump
up
boots.
getting because we started off with like the leather shoe for your
Yep.
dress uniforms, like dress blues and shit like that.
Yeah.
That was a fucking nightmare to polish because it had to be the whole shoe. And then
Okay.
as soon as you walk, fucks
Right.
it up. You get that crease. And
Right.
when I became permanent party, I went and bought myself one of the patent leather
Yeah.
shoes
Well,
that I only wore
being in an
with my
airborne
dress.
unit, we didn't have like.
Well, I didn't have to worry
you
about
don't
polishing
even
those
get
because they
the
were
option
patent.
to wear. The
And those
standard issue
were
Cochrane.
approved to wear.
Like,
So I was
no,
like, I'm
you
not.
were buying a
shoes.
pair of jump boots
These
and
are
you were
gross.
polishing
Fuck
that
them.
entire boot from top to bottom.
That sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Yep. And that's even longer. I mean,
Mhm.
I was spending
Yep.
anywhere from if I had to
So
start over
how,
polishing the
so-
boots.
Div, how
It
long did it
was-
take you to
Oh,
polish
God.
your
Yeah,
jumping
that was-
leather
5 hours.
boots?
Per boot
That's a 4 or 5 hour.
to get it back to the mirror shine.
Because I mean, the sides you can kind of get away with doing them
That's what I was getting to.
once,
So
and
if
then
I'm
kind
doing
of
just
doing a little
heel
maintenance here and
cap.
there, because you don't really have a whole lot of contact with the upper portion of the boot. It was the lower portion where you walked that you had to worry about.
No.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right.
Right.
that crease, but the jump boots had the cap and heel. So that
I
crease
wish
was right
I
along the
wish I had
cap.
had
So
that
that,
option.
that wasn't a big deal. because I had like the Cochrane, the field boots, which they also made a jump boot. Which I was like, no, I'm not buying this. See, we had the option to wear them.
Yep.
And I knew a couple people that did, and they hated it because that upper is so stiff. Plus, if you have that upper, you have to polish it, because if you don't polish it, it looks like shit. So when you're wearing it with your uniform, especially back in the day when we had BDUs, you had to look good because you had inspections where they would come up and they would, nitpick everything. Luckily for me, I took a lot of pride in my, like, my sleeves were like crisp, fucking pressed. I never used that. We had people that used like that Stitch Witch. Remember that shit where they would iron it and then it would make a permanent crease? We had people use that, and then like their pants would break when they sat down because that Stitch Witch got so tough. It was almost like
I had a team leader
as soon as
that
they bent
came
their knee,
from,
it was like there was a crease and it would
The Old
snap.
Guard?
And they're like, "Oh shit!" And I'm like, "Yeah,
Does
stupid.
the Tomb of the Unknown
It's called starch.
Soldier?
Use a lot of starch."
He came from there, and they are anal retentive with their uniform shit. He would come by.
Old Guard, I know Old Guard.
Oh yeah, we would have inspection in the morning. He would come by the night before with his ruler that apparently he got in the Old Guard. It's like got all the markings on it that everything needs to be, and he's nitpicking every little thing. Yep.
Yep. Fucking doing trigonometry and shit. Like, this ribbon goes here at this degree, at this angle, and you're like, bitch, I'm gonna slap this shit on and make it look good.
They need to be for what they do.
Get the hell out of here.
But
but no, yeah, they the Old Guard, those guys are super anal retentive about their uniforms.
Getting into the argument with him when I got to the point where I needed to do the offset ribbons because the lapel got in the way. Oh god,
inspection or some shit
like I love the dude, great team leader. I don't know how many cans of beer I threw at his head.
Oh yeah, because you just had too many. And
shut up. Drink beer. Stop talking.
Shut the fuck up. Yeah, I didn't have to deal with that because I wasn't in for very long, not by choice, but yeah, I knew some guys that were like, they would be sitting there.
Oh yeah,
and like just on their ribbons, they're trying to make it.
We would have to stand there, dress shirt on,
dude, as soon as you put
jacket
that
on, while he's sitting there measuring every little bit. And I'm like, dude, nobody's gonna care about a millimeter.
Like, as soon as you put it on, it's gonna be off.
I just stopped doing it. I would just wait for him to come by, like.
We're standing in the mirror going.
Well, the thing you gotta remember about airborne units is they're.
See, you're lucky. We had to sit there and fucking in the mirror doing this shit.
We're a bunch of arrogant.
It's gotta go left.
A bunch of arrogant
no, the other left. Shit.
Politely.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, dude, the 82nd guys hated us because we were even more arrogant than they were, because we actually had a combat jump.
Because you're airborne, especially if you're in the.
None of them had a current combat jump.
Or in the 82nd.
And so they hate, when I moved to the 82nd, dude, those guys hated me.
Yeah,
they were pissed. Yeah,
right.
That was a nightmare of a jump, but yeah, I did it. Oh yeah, I had plenty of that.
Yeah,
I showed up
as a combat jump.
I did the traditional dumbass shit that lower enlisted does and got myself busted down before I got shipped over. But I got busted down. Actually, on my deployment to Iraq. And that was during the initial invasion.
I never did that. I got close.
Yeah, I got myself in some trouble, and instead of getting to fly home with everybody else, we had to drive because we jumped in with all of our own stuff.
Right.
our vehicles were our organic vehicles. Like we had our anti-tank platoon or our mounted vehicular platoon. They had their Humvees. Like this was back when we were still welding steel on because we had the canvas doors.
Right.
Yep, we had the old canvas.
Yeah, back
the canvas doors.
And then
stacking
that was back
sandbags
when the government was not supplying up armor to the Humvees.
Oh, like I said, we had the. I mean, I rolled in Humvees without a door. We just didn't even bother putting the door in.
The weird fucking grates that are supposed to stop RPGs and shit. I've never seen those.
Right, and it's going to be quicker for me to get out of the vehicle if we're doing a raid if there's no door. Right. So we rolled like
what's the point? Yeah, if you're going to get hit, you're going to get hit.
And this was like pre-IEDs even. Because this was, like I said, the initial invasion. Because we jumped in up north, and when we rolled into the city, they thought we were still the Russians. Or not the Russians, I'm sorry. That was Afghanistan. This is how long it's been. There was a village in Afghanistan that was so remote when we rolled in helicopters, they thought we were the Russians still. they thought we were still fighting the Russians. These guys were buried deep. But no, and which is weird because I spoke Russian, so it was like I could kind of understand it if I was like cursing in Russian, but I'm not. Yeah.
No.
But
how can I use this to my advantage?
Right.
That's so funny. Like that's so funny to talk to somebody that went through like a lot of the shit that I went through. 'Cause a lot of stuff people we talked to, they were in like in the mid 2000s.
Maintenance that
they didn't have the shit. Like, they didn't have the BUs. They didn't have the ironing and the boot polishing and the inspections. They didn't have any of that shit. They don't have that now. And it's like when I go back to it, it's like, man, it's like I had to do this, 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 and it was like just normal everyday life. And they're like, you had to polish your boots?
I'm just taking all I have to do is take my dress uniform to the dry cleaners and just tell them to use extra starch. That's it.
I could throw my iron away? Fuck. Yeah, use extra starch. That's it. I remember sitting there like with fucking like as soon as they come out of the wash, take them back to the dorms, take them back to wherever, and immediately get the ironing board out. You got like 3 cans of fucking starch, a wet sponge, and your iron.
Oh yeah.
Because you had to sit there and make it perfect, flat.
I don't miss those
starch.
Days. I will say that.
Iron, sponge that goofy white shit off. Flip it over, starch.
Yep. Dude, when I got out,
I don't either. My wife refuses to believe that I used to iron shit, and I'm like, I did that shit every fucking day.
Hey, what is it they say that a veteran gets out? He's got at least 2 of 3 things: alcoholism, an ex, and bad credit. Yeah, to get at least 2 of those 3 things.
Typical veteran.
Yeah. Thankfully, my ex didn't happen until
bad credit.
I got out, so I didn't have any of the fighting with that. But
I didn't have the eggs. I had the alcoholism and the bad credit.
I was like, you know what? Even though I was in an airborne unit, and airborne in Italy, they let us kind of relax with the hair standards because they wanted us to at least attempt to blend in a little bit with the host nation, right? And so, it was like low fade, but regardless, it was still, fade,
locals and shit like that.
No facial hair constantly. And I got out and I was like, you know what? I'm growing my fuck you hair and I'm growing my fuck you beard. And I had hair down to my ass. Like I just let it go. Like I'd go into the bar. Exactly. I'd go into the barber. I'd go into the barber and just kind of trim the ends up, and I have to hang my head over the back of the barber chair.
Give a shit anymore. It's like I don't have to shave. I don't have to do all these standard grooming bullshit and have the fucking high and tight all the time.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I remember when I got out, I was like, I didn't grow a beard.
Well, yeah, you throw some milk on your face, let the cat lick you.
I grew a beard later in life.
Yeah,
because I got tired of shaving. Like I didn't mind shaving when I was younger. Like I could just just whack that shit right off and into the problem.
Right.
Pretty much, you just lay down. Hey, kitty, get that shit right there. And then
right.
And then later, it wasn't nothing for me to just like throw some shaving cream on. Just we did it so fast in basic training.
For no fucking reason.
You cut yourself. Oh fuck it, toilet paper.
The only
just went about your day. At one point, I just got I was like,
yep.
I'm standing here. Shave my goddamn face.
The only reason I waited a little bit longer to start growing a beard was
I don't like necessarily having a beard.
Out of the army,
but I hate shaving more.
I was in Ohio at the time, and they give veterans, when you get out, you get 6 months unemployment, no questions asked. Get your feet under you, figure out what the hell you're doing. Don't worry about getting paid. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna take that option. Because I had my wife at the time. We're trying to figure out where we're gonna live. Right. We're staying with her mom, and it got to the point where it's like I can't do this anymore because her mom was a college professor, and she would come home between her classes, and we'd always get into little arguments about shit. Generally, something politically related.
Oh.
And so I was like, you know what? I can't fucking do this. I need a job. I can't just sit in the house all day long not doing anything. So I eventually got a job as a security guard at the local teaching hospital at Ohio State Medical Center. So I worked as a security guard there for a while, and they weren't too hip on the idea of me growing a full beard, but I could grow a goatee. They were okay with the goatee, not the full beard. So it started with that, and then I switched from there to doing private security or private contract security for Discover Card, and they just didn't give a shit. So I was like, fuck it. I'm tired of shaving. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I usually get sick of doing it because you do it every fucking day. Especially when there's an inspection.
If you gave me more than 45 seconds to
because they
scrape a razor over my face, I'd have made sure I got it.
One hair, and it's get your ass back upstairs and shave. Fucker. Just yeah. Oh man, we had this kid.
Right.
So my first night in basic training, my first morning, I should say, first morning in basic training, we're all in the bathroom. Now we're not thinking. We're like, okay, we need to shave. Blah 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 blah. It's fucking chaos. So we're all in the bathroom. We're using all the fucking sinks.
Or you get really good at shaving later in the shower.
That's a no-no because you have to clean them shits. So you only use 3, not 12. And so we're all shaving. Yeah. And so we're all shaving stuff like this. And all of a sudden I look over to my right, and there's this kid.
Oh damn!
Bleeding. His face is just nothing but blood.
He's just ripping his face to shreds.
Pouring out of his face. Come to find out, he had severe acne. And all we had was shitty fucking plastic razors. So he's shaving, and he's just bleeding, just ripping his face off. And he's so fucking freaked out that he's like, because he doesn't want to get yelled at, he doesn't want to get in trouble. Nobody wants to get in trouble. So he's shaving, and he's just bleeding. We're like, dude, stop. So we make him stop, and he's already fucked his face. So he's already fucked himself up because it's literally it's pouring out of his face. So we're grabbing paper towels and shit like that, and holding his face for him because he's shaking. Now he's going into shock. He's bleeding so much. So we're holding the fucking paper towels to his face, and the TI comes in. And he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And we're like, "What?" I just pulled the paper towels away.
Really?
And he's like, "Get to the fucking nurse." So he had to go down to get. So a couple of guys, they were holding his fucking face together. They took him down, and I never saw the kid again. I don't know if he went to the hot. I never saw him again. I don't know if he got out.
Right.
Because I know you can get a waiver for
probably got entered and recycled.
But I'm assuming he had to go to the hospital because of how many. Basically, he just really just slice the skin off his face.
That can't be healthy.
So I'm assuming he went to the hospital to get patched up, and then just got recycled out. But yeah, I never saw him again.
I would assume he needed stitches.
He was it was like from here down on his neck and everything was just blood, and it was literally just running down his face into his chest. I don't know if he needed stitches, but I know they needed like a lot of stim packs. I know they would have used a lot of stim packs to stop the bleeding, because it was basically just puncture wounds all over his face. And then, of course, he was chewing his ass out. Like, why the fuck are you shaving? You can't fucking shave with all this shit on your face. all the way down the stairs. And we're like, bro.
Isn't that basic training, though?
The dude just cut his face off.
You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Because he didn't want to get yelled at. Now you're yelling at him because he cut his face off. Yeah. But yeah, I'll never forget that kid. Yeah.
Well, if you do a good job, you get yelled at for not helping the fuck up.
Hey, if you do a good job, you're a piece of shit. Yeah, if you did a good job, you're
barely do my job.
If you did a bad job,
I'm
you're
proud of myself
for
for getting this done. I had no time to do anything else.
Yeah. Like, I did my job.
So, Div, do you have any favorite deployment stories?
I had this much time left to do my job.
I got a fucked up story.
He hasn't even started.
So I was
that
in,
works. That works.
This was in my deployment to Iraq. So when I initially deployed, I was in, a ground unit.
Those are the favorites.
Saw gunner, doing all that. I mean, I'm a big dude. I can't run fast, but I can walk with weight. And so they gave me weight. Yep. And I was damn good at it. I'm big. There's more of me to keep it steady. But I've been there for a while, and
you get the big gun.
I learned. You know how they tell you going into the army or going in the military?
Yeah.
Never volunteer for anything. Don't admit you're good at anything. And so my team leader comes to me one day and says, "Hey, I heard you're good with computers. Is that true?" I was like, "Yeah." Because before I joined the military, I had a scholarship to go to DeVry, and so I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty decent with computers."
Yeah.
It's like, "Can you drive a Humvee?" It's like, I mean, I got the basic training that you made everybody else do when we first got here. And they're like, "Okay, pack your shit." I'm like, "Fuck." All right. So I packed up my shit, and I got sent to Battalion HQ to be the sergeant major's driver. Yeah. So I am an E-nothing private getting shoved into battalion because he needed a driver because his driver got
super
injured
fun
and had to be sent home. Doing something dumb, not even a combat related injury. Dude, like I never got the actual story. I got like 3 different versions. So that basically meant he did something dumb that he was embarrassed about and people were covering for him. But so I go from living in this house that we had taken over in the city of Kirkuk. It was an abandoned house. We took it over.
Right.
So I go from living there to moving on to the airfield. In the airfield, I was living in a building that we split with the Air Force. So we had like our guys on the first couple, it was left and right. So like our guys were on the left side, Air Force guys were on the right side, and we were told never go over to the right-hand side because they had women over there. It was all dudes on our side. They had ladies, don't go over there. Well, yep. And so, I mean, we're still doing like scrubbing uniforms in tubs to do laundry because we're not allowed to use the Air Force stuff.
They had to over there.
Yeah. Well, I went up to we were running laundry lines on the roof because the roof was nice and flat. And plenty of places to string some 550 cord up and drink your fucking laundry over. And I remember one time I went up there, bag of wet laundry. Like, it's like my stuff and the guy who I was sharing a room with, we would like alternate washing each other's shit. Because we worked opposite shifts. I worked the night shift watching the battalion talk, the command center. So I had the night shift, he had the day shift. And so we would, take turns washing each other's shit. We split most chores down the middle. And I'm up there one day and I'm slinging, I'm dead tired. Like, I got done with my night shift. I washed laundry. I'm going to go hang it up and then I'm going to bed. Because I have done my full day. It is now time for me to go to sleep. And I'm like, I am so out of it. I walk up the stairs. I got my, 550 cords already strung out, and I'm just not paying the slightest bit of attention, hanging up, everybody hanging up my shit, hanging up his shit. And I turn around, and on the Air Force side of the building, there's like this little like half wall, maybe like 2 or 3 feet that separated the halves. And they got these Air Force ladies out there sunbathing topless. I haven't seen a woman in like 8 months that wasn't like local Iraqi lady. I'm just like dumbfounded. I'm like, and it wasn't even like top up. They were facing down. It's just the fact that there was side boob and lack of anything else up top. And I'm just
have to.
So how you doing?
Yeah.
I tried. I tried.
I don't need to go to bed right now.
Of course, didn't get to shoot my shot because they were told, "Hey, stay away from those guys next door. They're airborne. Don't do that." Yeah, between that and
as soon as you started talking to them, they went
filtered down through like brigade and battalion gossip about there was this Air Force captain.
Yeah, they do that shit.
Female, she got sent back home because she got caught selling condoms for $50. Well, I mean, but you get the implication of what she was selling besides, yeah, it's like, And I remember
look, man. I think everybody
my buddy telling me this story, and I'm like, and I remember spinning around in the chair and looking at him, and I'm like, you couldn't have told me this before she got sent home.
Just condoms.
I mean, this was back pre, like they weren't even doing the mid-tour R&R leaves until we were like 8 months in. We went in not knowing when we were coming home. They hadn't set rotations. They didn't have any of that yet.
Yeah, that was back in the day.
Yeah,
right. Eventually,
that was back in the day where that's what we had to. Like if you like, I never, like I said, I never got deployed, but the guys that I know that got deployed, it was like, you'll come home eventually, because we were stationed with I was stationed with the B1s, and if the B1s got deployed, you didn't come home until they came home, and then like they would come home, once in a while for like repairs and like when we did like major repairs and shit like that. But other than that, if they were deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, Guam, where the fuck they went, that's where we
aren't
went.
deployments now anywhere between like 6 months to 1 year?
You didn't really know. Like there was nothing to be gone for a year and a half.
I did 15 months. I did. It depends on
it's
where
like
you're
6, 3, 9 in a year, something like that.
What branch is
depending
going.
on where you're going?
Because I know I had some friends of mine that were Marines that they would do 4-month rotations.
I think it's like depending on where you're going is how they split it up.
But most of mine were either a year or, like I said, that 15 months, and that was because there was some hiccup in the rotation cycle.
Yeah, each branch had a different
too
rotation.
Many people were going to be switching out at the same time, and they don't want that.
Yeah.
you right. You want the minimalist amount of people moving in and out of a battle space.
No, they want to keep as many people in one place as possible, so they
15
just
months.
move
That must
them
be
about.
fucking hell.
I mean, we were in Afghanistan
Towards
but,
the end.
So I had.
Yeah.
I don't know what I will say. I got lucky in.
Depends on where you go.
My career, I almost always seem to end up going to units that had like the trust of the higher ups, because we'd be like, "Hey, you're gonna go sit in this safe house out in the middle of nowhere, and nobody's gonna come bother you." I'm like, oh, okay. So I don't got to worry about some random. I don't have to worry about some random colonel showing up, wanting to know why I'm not, spit shining my boots in the middle of Afghanistan. I can just kind of chill and do.
If I have to,
We can be comfortable. Wait, what? I can go out and not wear my uniform blouse because it's hot as balls out. Yes, please send me there. I don't care if I need to eat MREs. Just get me away from command.
yeah, that was yeah. That was the cool thing about, especially like when I was stationed at Ellsworth, because I worked inside the hangar because we had all the B1 parts, and we had everything stationed out, and
right,
like we didn't have to wear the shirt. Like we just had like whatever our undershirt was. Like we can get to the dock. As long as we got to the dock, we could take that off. And as long as we have our flight line or our line badge on. Because I mean, if you get caught without your line badge, that's
right.
That's a big no. As long as you had your line badge on and you knew like the security questions and all the answers and shit like that, you didn't have to have your you didn't have to have your blouse on. You just had to have your shirt on. And so half the time, those hangars, they're not really climate controlled. So in the summertime, it's fucking hot because all it is, it's a big steel building, and all it does is radiate fucking heat on the inside.
So you get that cross breeze.
So we would open up the big ass hangar doors because these were B-52 hangars.
Yep.
So we'd open up all the hangar doors, and then we'd open up the back door to get some kind of breeze coming through, and then just take our blouses off. Yeah, just take the blouses off, and then but still be like just sweltering heat. And like the cross breeze was great, and then like of course then the fucking maintenance squadron would start running APUs, so you got to close the back door just so you can hear yourself fucking fart.
Yeah,
because we had a bird. We had a B1 stationed right outside, right out of the back of our dock, and the only thing between that bird and our warehouse was a blast fence, and all it just went straight up like this, so the blast would go up instead of into the building. And but you're running the B1 4 GE turbo engines running 30,000 pounds of thrust. So you're talking 120,000 pounds of thrust coming out of the ass into that thing. And they're running APUs, and you're just like, you're standing face to face with somebody yelling at them, and they're just like, and then of course they just shut it down.
Cold as balls.
They shut it down quick, and they're yelling at this asshole, and he's like, "Stop yelling at me!" I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Nope.
So we would do that, but it was the same. It would get hot in the wintertime.
Summer months,
we're in the fucking parka.
Boiling.
We're in the fucking parka in there.
I mean, we're up above.
It's like there's no comfortable space.
We were up above 5,000
inside those hangars, and it's like
in some of these mountains.
It's horrid.
And like during the summer, you're still sweating like a stuck pig. But as soon as winter came by, it's like, Jesus, I need more clothes.
Right.
Like I'm the kind of guy that when I go to bed, I want as little clothes as possible on. But up in the mountains, I
can't cover up enough. I'm so cold. I'm so cold.
I'm putting my parka on. I got my hat on.
Right. Me too.
The hood. We didn't have the
This
fur.
is a long john night tonight.
Although for some god awful reason,
Did you have the big gray parka?
When I was
had the big gray parka
during my
that had
station,
the hood
during my
with
time
fur.
in
Yeah.
it was during our time in Afghanistan. We were for one of my rotations, we were running sector QRF. So we would go onto Bagram Airfield and we would park our asses there for 3 months. Because we're gonna have to, we do these we were doing rotations, and if something happened anywhere in our AO, we're jumping on the helicopters and we're going the fuck out there, and we came in, and we've got all these connexes filled with bullets and rockets and piles of basically anything we could need, and we crack open this one and we see these like giant white plastic like foot lockers. And we're like, what the fuck is all this? Yeah. And I'm like, motherfucker, it's 100 degrees today. What the fuck do I need that? But I'm like, it was my first deployment into Afghanistan, so I'm like, what
That's
the
cold
fuck
weather
do I
here.
need a fur-lined coat for? It is 100 fucking degrees today, and I'm on the flight line.
Today.
Come on. I learned.
Right.
Yep.
As soon as you said
QRF
white
is
foot locker, I'm like, that's
quick
cold
reaction
No,
weather
I
here.
don't.
Basically-
I know exactly what that is. Now,
Yeah,
so like,
if somebody needed
might have
help,
to explain something to Rex. Rex, do you
if
know
we're
what
throwing
QRS
ourselves
stands for?
into a helicopter and we're going. We have no idea where we're going. We have no idea what we're walking
Yeah.
into.
It's basically like, hey, we're in trouble. We need somebody, and they jump on a helicopter.
All right, I'm gonna sit there with my gun. Here we go. That's fair.
The pilots are like,
That's
we're
fair.
going this way, and you're going, okay. Yeah. So that you said QRF, and I was like, I don't know if Rex knows what that means.
I don't remember,
But
honestly.
yeah, the cold weather shit, man. We had because we had the boots too. Did you have the boots? The ones you fill with air. Like, we got ish. I never wore mine because they were like big, giant. Because you wore like these heavy duty socks, or you wool socks inside, but these were like you put your foot in there, and there was like the liner for your foot, and then there was an empty space, and there was a liner for the outer sole, the outer shoe, and you filled it with air, some shit like that. So it basically would create a buffer between the cold air outside and your foot. I never wore mine. Yeah, I never wore mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't have to worry about that. I wish I had some snowshoes because I was stationed in South Dakota on the flight line. And if you've been on a flight line, you've been to Bagram, you've been on a flight line, there's fuck all to block the wind. And then if it snowed, snow every goddamn way.
Actually.
And fucking drifts, as tall as you are in certain
So,
spots.
I was just saying that actually
we had to deal with that shit.
I
deal with that shit all the time. That was a nightmare.
Yeah,
I wish I had some snowshoes.
We went to Aviano. And they had all the C-17s lined up, and you got 1,200 people sitting on the edge of the flight line, a bunch, because they had literally just stood us up. The unit had, before it started filling out, it was just a QRF for CTAF, which is Southern European Task Force. So it was like Southern Europe, Africa. It was just a QRF for that. And as Big Army was making their plans to invade Iraq, they wanted a combat-sized brigade closer. And so they took what was a single short battalion and fleshed it out into a full-on brigade. And so this unit, we were 18, 19. I think the average age, like if you took everybody in my company, you take, from the CO and the first sergeant down to the newest private, I think our average age was 21. You got a bunch of, exactly. And we're 1,200 kids lined up on a flight line, loading ammo into mags, trying to combat proof the plastic saw drums. Cut the cardboard and try to like slide it in there so that rounds didn't rattle. And like that, yeah, that was a wild.
Uh-huh.
That was a wild experience. Like in the entire almost 10 years I was in the Army, that is the one moment that stands out the most to me.
So, whoa.
I still remember to this day my chalk and line and jumper
Just a bunch
numbers.
of kids getting ready to jump into combat.
The jump manifest.
I mean, that's
so like I still remember my spot in the line. I was chalk number 6. I was chalk number 6, jumper number 9. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh god. We had our loadmaster was an asshole. Just flat out an asshole. So like,
he was one of the first ones out.
But this, because so the loadmasters, when you're in an airborne unit, when the doors are closed, the loadmasters are in charge.
Enough, I work with a loadmaster.
As soon as those doors go up, the jump masters are in charge. So we're sitting there and we're flying from Italy to Iraq. Initially we were going to land in Turkey, refuel, and then take back off.
Right.
We got told mid-flight, no, you're not allowed. And so we had to refuel in air because we didn't have enough fuel to go straight to Iraq. And so we're sitting there, and you know, you got a bunch of 18, 19-year-old kids. For most of us, this was our first jump outside of training. You know, normally we'd be wearing red fucking helmets to symbolize that we're cherries. And instead we're wearing, camouflage netting on our hats because we're about to go get shot at. Right. And we're flying in, and like I said, I'm chalk 6, so we're towards the front of the aircraft. We're 6th aircraft back. And everybody's like, we've done everything but start do the pre-jump checks. So everybody's nerves are up. We already know that by now the first chalks are out the door. And the loadmaster comes over the fucking PA system right before they open the doors.
Right.
And is like, the first chalks are on the ground and they're taking fire. And so we're like, fuck.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I'm thinking to myself, okay, my guys are down there, they're getting shot at right now. I need out this fucking door. I gotta go.
That's information you could have kept to your goddamn self.
We're loading up. Everybody's kind of like, everybody's doing that as much as we can with these heavy ass rucksacks hanging between our legs. Everybody's trying to like stay loose. Right. And I remember jumping out that door, and I look up, not a star in the sky. It's completely dark. Can't see the moon. Can't see the stars. And I'm looking down, and it's completely black. It's Iraq. We're jumping into an airfield. There's not a lot of electricity. And I'm hanging there, and I don't hear a motherfucking thing. No muzzle flash, gunshots. And I'm hanging there, 19 years old at this time, and I'm like, are my guys alive? Are they all dead, or are we all dead? What am I landing in here? And who is in charge on the ground right now? And like I said, it's completely dark. You can't see the ground. You can barely make out the plane as it leaves.
Who's alive?
And I'm hanging there. I'm looking around, and all of a sudden,
I'm gonna need a sit rep for this.
Blue chem light falling through the air. And I'm just like, what? And it's the only light source I have right now. And so I'm looking down, and I see it, and I'm like, I'm looking, I'm like, I don't think that thing is moving. Oh, fuck,
Right.
that thing's not moving. I yank up on because when you jump, your rucksack hangs between your legs, attached to a quick release. And there's a 25-foot
I mean, this hit the
landing,
ground.
basically, so that when you jump, you're supposed to pull. Like they tell you, like as you get to treetop level, you're supposed to
Right.
pull on this thing. It extends the rucksack down, and it's supposed to because you don't want to land with that between your legs. That's a good way to break your legs. And so you let it out, and you're supposed to do it so it has time to settle before you land. Mine did not. You're supposed to feel a tug, because I mean it's 100 some odd pounds tugging on your waist. I didn't feel a tug.
Yeah.
I just released it. I pulled it. I kicked it loose, and then it turned into an anchor.
Right.
Because it hit the mud.
Oh.
And
What's going on?
Whack. And I remember I'm laying there.
Oh, wow.
I'm laying there. I pop my chute release, so it's not trying to drag me across this muddy field anymore. Because this was the end of middle to end of the rainy season.
I'm down.
So it's all mud. It's all mud. Yeah. Yeah, my rucksack is halfway into the ground. It dug a hole in the ground when it landed. And
so it's just
I remember I popped my shoulder release.
Shit, yeah, I've heard about that stuff.
And I get out of this. I get out of the parachute and I roll over the side. Any paratrooper you talk to, there's one thing that immediately happens once you get out of the parachute. Nobody ever talks about it. Take a piss. You've had this thing tugging. You've had this thing crushing your nuts up into your body the whole time. It doesn't matter whether you actually need to piss or not. You do. You do the thing. And you're okay. Even in combat, I'm I've been in this thing for 10, 12 hours now.
Right.
Rigged up in this parachute, and I roll over. I take a piss, and I kind of pop up on one knee, and I dig my night vision out. I slap it on my face, and I check to make sure it works. And I'm looking around, and I see random people here or there. And I'm I have no idea what the fuck is going on. And so in grand paratrooper fashion, I snagged up 3 other guys who were just as clueless as I was. Locked and loaded, and off we went. We're I know we're supposed to meet at the flight line, and so they tell you in airborne that when you hit the ground, you're supposed to form an LGOP, which is a little group of paratroopers, and it is the most terrifying thing in existence.
Yeah.
Because an LGOP is a bunch of 18 and 19-year-olds hopped up on testosterone and adrenaline with no idea what they're doing and no idea where they're going. They just know that they got to go that way. Yep, I got bullets and I got grenades and a knife somewhere.
We are here.
We're gonna go that
we
way.
need to be here, so let's go. And we'll face whatever comes between these two.
So,
this
what is
question.
your favorite and least favorite MRE?
I will actually say my least favorite are the 5 Fingers of Death.
Yep.
The hot dogs that they had. I don't know if I don't know if I just got a bad batch of them or what, but I remember I had them one time and I'm I'm never touching these again.
Really? I mean, they're not
Never.
a favorite, but they're not bad.
They're MRE hot dogs. I think my favorite for a while was.
You must have had a bad
Oh, it
batch.
was actually
I mean, yeah,
the
granted, they're not the greatest.
I actually really liked
But
the
they're not
beef
that.
stew until
But they're not that bad.
until there was an
They're fine-
incident
yeah,
in which
they're
I
not that
could never eat it again. Dude,
Yes.
no. We were doing QRF for one of our scout teams.
That's
They had
blasphemy.
At this
You
point
should do it.
in
Unless you
Afghanistan,
threw it
everybody's
up.
mounted. They're at least in up armored Humvees. We didn't have MRAPs yet.
Yeah.
But we were sitting on base, and one of our scout teams called in for help. And that's our scout team. Those are our scouts. So we all bundled into the helicopters and off we went.
Yeah.
They had taken some pretty heavy fire. They ended up, one of the Humvees ended up actually burning down. But so we land and we clear this first little like group of buildings, and then we got to go down. And it's beginning of spring, so all the snow melt is coming down off the mountains and running through this valley. And it looked like you would expect to see this in like Vietnam, like waist high grass, trees. I'm like, this is not Afghanistan. Where the fuck did you take us? Yeah, like where the hell did you take us? And so we ended up having to clear this village, and there were they're enemy combatants in the village, and we're trying to push them.
This is not desert warfare.
Basically, like we've got a group in this valley. We had a group set up back here. Like, let me see if I can just like back here, and we're here, and we're trying to push the enemy this way because we've got guys that are waiting right here to catch them in a crossfire. And so we're pushing through, and because this river runs down the valley and like out and around, and so basically we're trying to push them to the edge of the water and pin them there. And we're going through, and we get into a pretty gnarly firefight in the middle of this like orchard. And it's like we're still shooting. The sun's coming down, and we're still shooting at each other. And we finally, everything kind of settles in. We think we're fairly certain that we've gotten everybody. It's really too dark to kind of do anything else, so we're settling in for the night. They're bringing us ammo. So they said, my saw gunner, or my 240 gunner is out of ammo. He left his 240 and was using his 9. Like it was down to sidearms and like last mags kind of thing. And I remember I was posted up, like we set our perimeter, and my buddy I had just gotten done running some of the wounded back to get picked up and taken off. And I go back to my fighting position, and my battle buddy is there, and he's like, I'm good, dude. I just ate. Pop a squad, grab something to eat, load up, take a load off. And I'm sitting there, and I got this cold pack of beef stew. And I'm sitting there, and I'm about halfway through it, and like I said, we've been fighting all day. And I remember looking over, it's the first time I've actually taken a moment to take a deep breath and just take in what's going on around me. And like 10 feet to my left is an enemy combatant leaning up against a berm that had been shot multiple times in the head. And I just, I'm sitting here looking at this cold beef stew, and I look over to him, and I'm like, nope, I am done. I am done with that. And so it was my favorite up until that moment.
I got cold beef stew.
The visual was too close. The visual was too close.
Right. Cold beef stew.
Yeah.
Cold beef stew. Yeah, I'm not eating that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Just a little bit. So do you have any advice for anyone that's wanting to go into the military?
Right now, don't.
It's
too much.
That's typical.
There's too much. The military has become too politicized.
Yeah, I said the same thing.
And that's the one thing that military never should be. Like, you can have conservative, liberal, libertarian, anarchist. Like, the military that I got in, we had.
Yep.
I had a best friend that was a fucking socialist. Like, but we still operated under the same mentality of like, country's not perfect, but it can get better. And it can get better by working together. That togetherness thing has kind of gone by the wayside lately. And it's with everything that's happened in the last couple of years, I would tell somebody, like, you need to really sit down and take a good hard look at what's going on and figure out if that's an environment you can actually thrive in. Otherwise, go do something else.
Yeah. It's gotten away from, like, I feel like, because I was back in like 96, 99, and it was literally like, there was a reason you went in the military.
Exactly.
And there was a reason. Like, for me, it was like, I followed in my grandfather's footsteps, my uncles and stuff like that. You know, I'm going to go fight for my country. This is the reason I'm going into the military. I'm going to fight for my country. Right. Downside was that I was 17. So my parents had to sign for me. My dad said, if you're going to go in the military at 17, I got to sign for you. You're not going.
Also, the other thing is, technically, you can't be combative. Technically, your main job in the military is to be trained.
You still have.
I mean, true, but you never know. A major war could have happened within a time frame.
But the Air Force has way less combat roles.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Right. Right. So you like, even if that were to be the case, you know, your JPs are gonna go, your
what was your job in the military? I always heard you talk about the
guys are gonna go.
What was your actual?
Those are all frontline Air Force.
Yeah, what was your actual?
Mine, my MOS. Okay. So because I worked with the B1s, I wasn't basically in supply.
Oh no, they get nice and long.
But it was actually labeled as logistics. So my MOS was 2SOX1.
My full MOS was 11 Bravo.
The Army has very short ones like 11 Bravo. They get long, but
I would say English. But no.
Marines, I think, are just numbers.
Right. See, there's always in the Army, and I think in the Army, and maybe the Marines too, there's always like a number and then a letter, right?
Right. Like for mine, it was
because I know, like for ours, like for mine, it was 2SOX1, and that's basically I don't remember exactly what it's been so long, but it's basically X1 is logistics.
Trainer for the Javelin
logistics side of it. Right.
Oh yeah, that was a lot of fun, and
that must have been fun.
Up to a point. Right. I have a story about that.
Up to a point.
Oh, so yeah,
right.
So the Army adds on.
You know, okay.
So the Army adds on for the more schools you go to, or if you will, yeah. So in the Air Force, you just change. So if I go for like 2SOX1, I go someplace else, I'm no longer 2SOX1. I'm this now. So they just change altogether. So basically, I was logistics. Right. Before that, I was signals intelligence, and I know they still have it.
You were SIGINT.
But I don't think they're using. But we did Morse code. We intercepted.
You were eavesdropping.
Like, we didn't send it.
You were eavesdropping.
We didn't send it. We weren't receiving it. We were intercepting it. So like some third world country guy sitting on a fucking bicycle.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, eavesdropping is what we were doing. So some third world country guy sitting on a bicycle, fucking pedaling his ass off on a generator, while this other guy's going. And we're listening, and we catch it, and then we start copying it. So that's what that job is. I don't know if they.
I'm sorry.
Do it.
I'm having struggle picturing this.
You still have third world assholes sitting on a bicycle running a fucking generator.
I'm just picturing the guy like.
That's all a generator is. Is that all a generator is a big wheel?
It's a legit thing. Like there's a guy on a bicycle, pedaling his ass.
Except for we put gasoline or propane in ours.
And then, like, what's funny is you can hear the Yeah. Yeah.
Instead of beep, 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 it was beep.
Right. So you can always hear when the guy got tired because the frequency would drop.
They swapped out riders.
Yeah, so you're changing the frequency just to keep up. And then all of a sudden
doing the tapping is not the guy pedaling.
It's like, oh shit, the frequency went back up because they changed guys. They swapped out riders. So the other guy's going,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what it was. It's like
right.
that's what we did. We weren't sending and receiving. We were just intercepting. Now the really cool part of that is like I can talk about all that shit,
you can.
some other parts of it that obviously there's a top secret clearance that has to happen. So we can talk about all of it. But one cool thing is that
we had to drop the guy off there. No thanks.
Better safe than sorry. Because I don't like Leavenworth. I've heard stories about that place. So the really cool thing about that job in particular is that if something was really important, like it was like a matter of national security or something that was extremely important that somebody needed to know about it, what we would copy could be from our desk to the president's desk within 5 minutes. That's how fast that moves. That's how fast that information would travel. So that was like the really cool part about it. Like I could copy something. I could hear something come through, copy it down and go, and then go, hey, guy, this needs to go somewhere else besides me.
You said you had an interesting story about some
that
was
I reclassed into supply.
And we had kind of this rotation going. So we had a safe house. It was basically an abandoned compound that we took over, fortified it, and life actually settled down into, we had like 3 rotations. So we had 3 platoons. No, I'm sorry, we had all 4 of our platoons there. You'd have a platoon that was on downtime. Ish. So one platoon would break into half and they'd send a squad. So in the Army at the time, you would have your platoons were split up into 2 squads. And so the downtime platoon would send one squad up onto this. So like we were stationed right up against Highway 1, which is a main thoroughfare through Afghanistan. And on the other side of the highway is the start of this big ass mountain range that we had a watch post on top of. So one squad would go up to the top of the watch post, and the other squad would be kind of R&R. Basically, shower, shave, wash your ass, wash your clothes, hit up the gym a little bit, eat something that isn't out of a bag, isn't out of an MRE bag, and
out of a military bag, basically.
We would have one platoon that would do patrols along Highway 1. Basically, we ran patrols from Kandahar to some other base that was like CBs and some OGA guys. OGA's other governmental agencies like FBI, CIA, NSA, DEA. It was like their base. Like we kind of like kept that stretch of the road patrolled, and then we kind of did patrols in the area. And then the 3rd platoon would be out at another checkpoint that led into this major valley. And when we first got there, we took over from, I think it was 10th Mountain. Yeah, I think it was 10th Mountain Division. They had initially stood it up. And when they stood it up, it was like some Hescos and some plywood and some sandbags to protect the mortar team and all of their like maps and everything. Because they had 120s, they had a couple of 120s out there. And so those aren't as mobile. The 120 millimeter mortars, those are not as mobile. So their fire room was in there, and then we had what we affectionately dubbed the Room of Boom, which is where we stored, extra mortar rounds, C4, some we had like half a dozen cratering charges, which are meant to
basically, if a spark went off in that room,
we had some
big boy
munitions
explosion
that were
would
back
happen.
from Vietnam. We had some red phosphorus, which they
not a good thing at all.
We also had some red phosphorus back in there. It was but it was so
cool as fuck.
They even stood up that post. So it was like that, and then there were like basically some ponchos.
That shit's cool as
strung
fuck.
out. Basically, you park your Humvees, you stretch the poncho across, and that was your position. But that was a major. We've been told that was a major route for guns and ammo coming from Pakistan deeper into Afghanistan. And so we had to, we were there to disrupt, material and personnel. But like I said, when we got there, we fell in on, basically what 10th Mountain had left behind. And they left behind a couple of javelins, like javelin rounds in the launcher. And I was the only guy on my platoon that was certified to use the javelin. So, I mean, that's as much as like in the movies or like on Call of Duty, it's just like, boop, done. Not quite so simple. Not quite that simple. There's a cooling pack that you've got to initiate. That it actually cools down the front of the warhead. Well, yeah, because that's actually what helps.
I did not know that, but that makes sense. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, but I didn't know that was a thing.
It lasts for 5 minutes, and then you got to toss it and get a new one. We didn't have any new ones, so it's like once that thing started, you needed to go with this. You were either shooting this missile or it was dead. You would have to wait for something else to come in.
What happens if you try to shoot one without a pack?
Is on there, and the reason it cools down the front of the missile is that's where the guidance system is, and this thing is it's thermal lock, so it can detect changes in temperature up to a single degree.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to see a bunch of kind of
basically
through the you're going to see it just fine. The missile's not going to be able to tell it. But we were taking, we were out there doing our normal thing, which is sit. You man a gun, get off the gun, clean your gun, eat some food. It was really boring. Until we started getting shot at, which happened quite a bit out there. And, we were... That's kind of the role of the infantry, is you're bored until someone tries to murder you.
You're bored until adrenaline kicks and say, "Oh, someone wants me dead."
So we're sitting there, and I had just gotten off my rotation on the gun. I'm back underneath the shade.
Pretty much
trying to get some food in me, and we start taking fire. So, well, here we go again. We're doing our thing, and I am in charge of so we've got a triangular base set up, and I am in charge of my point of the triangle. And so I'm like directing fire, blah, blah, blah. And so our vehicles were here, and I had kind of moved up to where we had built a little sandbag wall, and I'm like kind of trying to help spot targets for the guy behind the machine gun. And we hear this whistling come in, and the next thing I know is the fighting position that was my vehicles is just covered in smoke. We had a 107 come in and actually smashed into what was a rock retaining wall that we had built. And I thought they'd hit our vehicles. And so I'm like, shit, my dudes are dead. I go running over, and my squad leader comes running up from the center, which is where they had like the firing position and firing command and all that stuff. He comes running out with the Clue, which is the command launch unit for the Javelin. He comes running out with it and throws it at me. Says, "Take care of this. Make this problem go away." Because, like, while granted, yes, it is an anti-tank device, it's a big rocket that you can pinpoint aim. I'm like, okay, cool. I checked my guys. My guys are fine. They're shaken up, but like, the rocket came in, hit the wall, exploded, peppered everything with shrapnel, but everybody was behind something. So like, I think the only casualty was like a camelback. So a piece of shrapnel through it, so it's leaking water now. So I grabbed the rocket, load it onto the Clue, take the top cover off to expose the warhead itself, and the Javelin, when it fires, there is a 2-foot ceramic plate that is basically at the back of the rocket. When the rocket fires, it propels that plate back. That's what it launches against. And so I can't have anybody standing behind me when I shoot this thing. And so my dumbass, I jump over the barbed wire because there's just this road, and the only thing that we have separating us from the actual road is barbed wire, like a single strand of barbed wire across the road. So I jump out and I run up basically in the open because I'm an idiot. And I fully admit that I'm an idiot for this. I run out to like the point of the road because the road comes around in the curves, and we're stationed right here in this curve. And so I run out here to the edge of the cliff. I'm like, I'm going to shoot from here because it's a straight shot back behind me. Yeah. I'm not worried about hitting any of my guys with this plate. And so, I'm out there. I get a lock on. I see this like huddle of dudes behind a rock. I can tell that there's heat source there. And I'm like, you know what? That's good enough for me. It's big enough. It's a big enough heat source that it's not a single person. But I know that the only thing that is on the side of this mountain right now are people that are trying to kill me. So I'm like, you know what? Good enough target for me.
Yeah.
So I lock on. And the nice thing about the Javelin is that you can either shoot straight out, which is preferred for helicopters, because rotors will fuck up the thermal imaging if you try to come down from on top. But so it's got a top attack and then a straight on. I'm like, well, I'm not going to shoot the rock. I'm going to drop it on top of the rock, which is where they're at. So I'm like, awesome, great, perfect idea. So I manipulate the little. It's honestly, it's like a video game. You get these little brackets that you have to like manipulate to isolate your target, and then you lock on, and then it transmits that picture to the rocket, and the rocket goes and finds it. The whole point of it. So the Javelin actually has a 2-stage motor. So it's got basically like a lot of compressed air that jumps it out to clear it from you. It goes about 5 feet, and the flight motor kicks in. And the flight motor is the actual like rocket propelled part. So I lock onto my target, fire, and they always tell you once you fire, you kind of like pull the Clue down a little bit to make sure it clears, like because you want to make sure that it's on track. And so I fire it. It jumps out. I pull the Clue down a little bit, and I see like the rocket kicks in, and it starts to go up like it's supposed to. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and I'm watching it, and I'm watching it, and it's like it's starting to not go straight up and out. It's starting to come backwards, like back towards us.
Oh.
And at this point, like everybody has stopped shooting. They've stopped shooting. We've stopped shooting. We're watching this Javelin missile in horror, thinking this thing is going to come back at us for some god-awful reason. But this thing goes out, does a loop-de-loop, and then just kind of meanders off into a field and buries itself into a field. And, like, it's dead silent.
enemy team's probably like,
we're watching it like burn
what?
itself into a field, into this poor farmer's field, and I'm like,
yay,
what
we
win! and I'm like, I look back in kind of like astonishment to like make eye contact with my guy behind the sandbag, and he's kind of looking at me like, what the fuck? That's not what that thing's supposed to do. And I'm like, and I see my squad leader come running out with the other javelin missile on his shoulder, like, hey, buddy, give it another go. And I'm like, no. Like,
give it another go.
So
hey, buddy, you almost killed us. Here's another one.
I'm like hightailing it back to my fighting position. Because now everybody has figured out, oh, hey, that dumbass right there in the middle of the open, that guy's got a big rocket launcher. Kill him. It was a great idea up until I realized, hey, wait.
Yeah.
I didn't hit anybody, and now I'm standing out in the open like a fucking moron.
Yeah.
No, so
was it like a dud?
Eventually had to come out, and I guess I don't really know what they did, but they came back and basically told us what had happened was, from what they were able to tell, there's a gyroscope that sits inside the warhead that basically tells it where to go. Apparently, when I had launched it and the flight motor kicked in, so 10th Mountain, when they had been storing these rockets, they'd been storing them with the top covers off, leaned up against a wall, like this rock kind of berm, rain or shine. And so, best guess EOD had for us was that water had gotten inside the tube into the warhead and had rusted the gyroscope, so that when the flight motor kicked in, the force of the thrust snapped it free of its moorings. And so it was just going wherever wherever it wanted to go. That's what it was doing.
Yeah, that'd be.
Yeah, but it was.
That sounds like something bouncing around it.
Maybe here. Let's go backwards. What's the guy that just fired us?
Here, I guess.
It was not my shining
over
moment
here
of being a javelin instructor. It's like, this is what not to do, guys. Don't do what
Let's
I
go
just
kill
did.
this field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
Funny thing is, 10th Mountain Division is stationed in New York. Nowhere near a fucking mountain.
So, is there more than one mountain division? Is there the 10th? Is there more than one?
We'll call it 10th Mountain
Or is it
Division.
just 10th?
Nowhere near a mountain.
It's no different than like the 101st. They call themselves an airborne division, but they don't jump out of airplanes anymore.
It's just 10th Mountain Division. Yep.
The only people that
it's just like Second Armored Division, First Cav,
the 82nd
Airborne,
the 173rd, and some guys in like Hohensfeld and Polk.
Right.
The Op 4 is airborne ops there. Op 4 is well, I mean they have their own thing now. They do their repelling thing, their air assaults. They used to be, and they just kind of.
It's kind of sad for
they stopped doing jumps and started focusing on air assaults. But they didn't take that out of the
it's just like
name.
We're airborne. Are you though?
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Do you have jump wings? If you don't have jump wings, you're not airborne.
But that's cool too. Yeah. It's like, I'm airborne. Are you 101st? Yeah. Are you?
Yeah.
Really?
You go, yeah.
All right.
The Coast Guard airborne. Damn.
We are going to start. We are going to start wrapping up this episode on that fucking note.
I still love you. Still love you. But now you are the Coast Guard of airborne. You're the airborne Coast Guard.
All right. So I guess before we end this up, do you have any questions for me or Kay?
I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate what you guys are doing. I know I'm probably a little bit different from a lot of the guests that you've had, or at least from what I've listened to. You definitely have.
We've had a wide variety of guests.
I've appreciated being able to like come on and tell my story as like being an infantryman.
Yes, he was like episode 5 or 6.
Okay.
Has Cynic been on?
Yes, Cynic's been on. Okay. Desert Storm.
Yeah. So I have a friend of mine named Cynic. Yeah. He's ex-army. He's been deployed. I mean, he's been in some shit.
So if you
I think he's probably the most.
Yeah, if you want some hear some stories about combat, Cynic's episode's a good one, and also so is RJ's. They're both good episodes to listen to.
On the same show, we just trade combat stories for 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Cynic was
right.
Oh, Cynic will do it. Cynic loves talking about that shit. He actually he put some pictures up in my Discord one time, and I had to have him take it down.
Right.
Because there were pictures of combat zones and what happens in combat zones, and he was showing me because I mean that doesn't bother me, but there was a guy that was in my Discord. He was like, "Dude, can you take those down?" Yeah, he was like, we understood. He was like, he wasn't being a dick about it. He was like, that's triggering some shit, dude. Like, I'm like, oh, like, hey, yeah, 100%. Yeah, no, we'll take him down right away. I took him down right away. And I told Cynic, he was like, look, we didn't mean to do that. That was a faux pas on our part. Yeah. He's like, no, it's cool. It's just, I saw him and I started getting that feeling, and I was just like, okay, like, yeah, that little, This is I'm about to have some shit going on. Yeah. So yeah, I had to take it down, but I mean, it's like Cynic's been through the ring. I know he spent like 20 years in it, I think it was. He got out. Got
back. Almost 10 years.
I didn't know
my buddy Rogue Marines got out. And he got recalled back.
5 years in combat, so I can empathize.
Yep. Yeah.
He's the most combat experienced guest out over 49 episodes.
Probably the most combat experienced person that I know. Because he was in there with all the old shit.
Deadly Gramps, yeah.
Another guy that we've been trying to shit too is Deadly. Now he's Deadly Gramps now. Yeah. It used to be Deadly USMC. Super cool dude. But you can look at this guy and go, he's seen some shit. And he's been
through shit in the military and outside of the military.
Super cool guy though. But yeah, he's one of those guys where like you don't want to meet him in a dark alley, piss him off. Yeah, he's been through some shit.
And he's been in a lawsuit with the hospital for a few years.
In the hospital. And the hospital didn't do anything to stop it.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
Yep, he's trying to sue the hospital because they not trying to get into his shit or anything like that, but his wife had a heart attack.
And he deserves to.
In the hospital. And they didn't do anything to stop it. Yep. He's gonna own that hospital by the time he's done with it. Yeah, 100%. He's super cool dude. If you ever
he's good at Apex too.
If you ever look him up, he streams on Twitch. He's only got like 1 or 2 viewers.
It's not my bag.
He streams Apex. Super cool guy.
Yeah,
he's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's generally what, and a lot of the guys.
They're not mine either. I go there for
like,
if he's on and I have a chance to watch him.
Them,
I'll go watch him. I'm not watching
really care about
I'll hang out with him. I'll shoot the shit with him.
All right.
Yeah.
Why don't you?
See, I never like.
Dude, you know
I'm
what?
not a part of Valhalla.
You know what?
I'm
as
not
soon
a
as
part
we
of
get off of here, I'm sending you an invite.
Every fucking veteran I know that streams is part of Valhalla or part of Regiment. I'm like, where's my invite?
It's not like I didn't know. I
all right. So like, before we end this episode, where can people find you?
All hanging out with each other. I was like,
Twitter. I've got a kick. I haven't done anything with it yet. I mean, you can find me on Discord, DivinityChained everywhere. I figured it's easier, just same name everywhere. Yeah.
Because I reached out to you on Twitter, so I know about your Twitter.
You admittedly been dead for a while due to helping the girlfriend get well again. But we're as soon as we get a new capture card, we're gonna be right back into it. I'm gonna be back on there. We're gonna be doing our live streams. I might be changing names soon. We've been talking about a rebrand. Just to kind of like have something that's us instead of us having two different names. But yeah, I'm pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.